It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. You want to know what made me feel old today?
What's that?
When I saw the fact that Scotty Scheffler, who won the PGA Championship yesterday, what a great golfer he is, was not even 1 year old when Tiger Woods won his first Masters.
Oh,
that made me feel old.
Wow.
Because that seems like it was yesterday when Tiger won.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it's so
crazy.
So yeah, I feel a little old.
Yeah.
So just going through, just social media, just seeing how social media is reacting, as we always do to everything, because it really drives. A lot of people may not post, but it does drive where the news is going. You and I talked about this a while back when we said, look, the reason that Republicans are faring better is because the mainstream media doesn't control everything anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I remember. Do you remember the last time someone called and said, well, we can't win because the media controls everything? I don't remember the last time we got that call.
I think we did at some point during the 24 season.
Did we?
That,
okay.
I forget what their take on it, but it was something along those lines that the liberal media, has too much coverage. There are too many liberal media channels and only one or two conservative media groups.
Mm-hmm.
And, we came back with well, hold on a second. We said it before Elon Musk said it. You are the journalists. You are the media.
Yeah.
You have the ability to go out and find the truth now, unlike any other time in history, for yourself. And we've said this for years, certainly with the advent of smartphones, you just have to have the will to do it.
Well, we said, you take the three networks combined, together with the liberal TV networks, national TV networks. You've got, 10, 12 million people out of 340 million.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And when you put it in that kind of perspective, it's like, oh, wow, then where are they getting their news? They're getting on their smartphone. And social media is driving a ton of that. And so I initially saw yesterday, it was first a Democrat saying, well, Republicans really can't cover this anymore, the entire debacle of Biden because of the cancer diagnosis. And then I saw some conservatives saying, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get us to shut up. And all I'm thinking is, not really, because this isn't about Joe Biden. It's about the people that covered him up,
right?
Or that covered up his cognitive condition.
Right.
Now, I will say this, because it is so rare, not that it doesn't happen, but it is so rare for a cancer to accelerate in the time period that I guess is being given by the family, which is this was all diagnosed Friday.
Yeah.
And they had no idea beforehand. Mm-hmm. Most doctors are saying if you're going to this is something you would see if you didn't go to the doctor for 10 years.
Right.
But if you're getting regular checkups, and regular checkups for anybody probably over the age of 50 now, is it? I'm not really sure. Is it 50 they start checking your PSA?
I think it's 50.
Then anybody over the age of 50, any male over the age of 50, and I'm sorry to the radical transgender movement, these are biological males. I want to make sure they understand this.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you're getting the PSA test, and most men very quickly become, if I know what my resting blood pressure is.
Mm-hmm.
When you visit the doctor, when you have normal doctor visits, and if you have any type of affliction, I've got type 2 diabetes under control, but I have it. And so you're taking your blood pressure. Occasionally you take I'm not serious, so I don't take it every day, but you take your blood sugar. couple times a week just to check it out, just to know where you are. And the same thing for your PSA, where as Eric and I talked about before the top of the hour, you can tend to panic a little bit. You're always like, oh, I didn't know it went down.
Yeah.
My PSA went down. Good. But you quickly understand when your doctor tells you if you're under a 2, then it's almost a guarantee of no cancer diagnosis for 2 years. And anything under 4, though, is normal, I think, right? Yeah, anything under 4.
Right, yes.
And so you just know those numbers because as you get older, you start knowing more people that have prostate cancer. You start seeing the news articles on it, and so you start paying attention. That's what you're going to be seeing. You're already seeing it on social media. It's all over X now.
Yeah.
People talking about what their doctors have said. Doctors now starting to post saying, not that it couldn't happen, but the odds are extremely rare that you would be getting normal, yearly. And mine is, even though I go to the doctor twice a year, because I'm a type 2 diabetic and they just want to monitor it, you get the PSA once a year.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, and you and I talked about it, ours. If it goes up a little bit, oh no, what do I do? 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 Well, it's anything as you get older. When I saw my, one of the designations for my white blood cell count was a little under. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no.
Yeah.
And so I get the blood, I get the blood work, which is great. I get the blood work before my doctor even comments on it.
Yeah,
the lab sends it directly to the portal, and I get to see it immediately. And my doctor comments it on a couple days later, and then I go in for my appointment.
Right.
And so he had nothing on the white blood cell count. So we went in, he goes, oh, all right, well, the blood sugar, forget about that. My white blood cell count's down. He goes, what do you think you got, leukemia? I go, I don't know, you're the doctor. He goes, when was the last time you were sick? I go, like, really sick? Where I had to go to the doctor or something? He goes, real bad flu where you felt like you needed some medicine or something. Said 3 years ago. Goes, that's why. You're never sick.
Yeah, the shingles probably, right? When you had the shingles, would that do it?
No, the shingles was 9 years ago.
Right?
That's when 9
Was
years
that 9 years ago?
9 years ago, yeah. Shingles was 9, because that's when the shingles is what set off me knowing.
9 years?
Yeah. I had a doctor's visit about 6 months before that, and I was only going once a year then, and everything was fine. I mean, there was everything. And I got the shingles, and I was back in New York, and it was a Saturday morning. It was funny because I flew in for something on a Friday afternoon, and I was flying back Saturday afternoon. And I noticed this. Remember, I thought what's wrong with my head during the week? Mm-hmm. What's going on with my head? It itches, and I'm thinking, all right, I got some kind of, I don't know, lice or something. I mean, I got the shampoo.
Yeah.
Nothing worked, and then I was going on the trip. By the time I got there, I flew out of here in the morning. By the time I got there in the afternoon, I saw my brother-in-law, and I said, I don't know what this is. He goes, you've got shingles. And it was so late in the afternoon that I didn't go to the doctor till Saturday morning. And I didn't rent a car. My parents had picked me up, and so I went to the, whatever you call it, the urgent care center. Mm-hmm. They took my blood pressure, 225 over 125.
Oof. Yeesh. Yeah.
And they said, you don't need shingles help. You need to go right now to the emergency room. Yeah. I went to the emergency room. They did everything and just said, they wouldn't give me any blood pressure medicine except the diuretic in case it was salt. Mm-hmm. And then I went in I went in like 2 days later to the doctor. Then 3 weeks in a row, they took blood tests on me. And they said, you got type 2 diabetes. And I said, well, I didn't have it 6 months ago. They go, nope, it's kicked in the last few months. It's genetic.
Wow.
Metabolic syndrome is what I have, which is
right.
All of it. So, so that was, no, it was during, I think it was in 2022. I thought I had COVID. I got really sick. I had to go to an urgent care center.
Right.
And they just said, nah, you just got a bug. You're fine. I had to take you had to take the COVID test outside.
Right. Yeah.
And they let me in. They go, no, you just got a regular lung infection or something like that. You'll be fine. No antibiotics, nothing. Just go. So, but that's the last time that, but yeah, I mean, my point is that's how much as you get older you pay attention to everything.
Yeah.
I may be over-exaggerating the panic part of it because I knew if my doctor didn't comment on it that I was okay, because he's that good.
Well, then on the drive home, you've got like about 20 minutes of relief now on the drive home. What if I have a bad doctor? Okay, Mr. WebMD. Calm down and stop Googling everything.
Yeah, but a ton of people, it was very easy. I said, I that's what I did when I heard this when I woke up. I said, what is the length of time it normally takes to go from first being diagnosed, with prostate cancer to it metastasizing? And the average, they said, it's very rare not to be 2 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard that before.
Not that doesn't happen.
I have a family member, and it metastasized very quickly.
Yeah, it can happen, yes.
His conditions were such that, and it was hormone-related, that drove it very quickly. So it's a, the question would be in this case, not that everybody wants to get into the former president's medical history. Is this related to cognitive issues? Is the treatment of this, if this was in place before, and it is not a new diagnosis? Because the treatment starts with lowering testosterone, if it's hormone related, which they've already said it is. So you go in and you do that. Well, that combined with other treatments can bring about cognitive issues.
Yep. I've seen 2 doctors say that
now
already.
We've got a series of questions here about whether or not this is a new diagnosis. In February of last year, White House doctor, he's fit to be president. Not many details other than that.
No PSA level.
Right. So
was released.
So the question would be, all right, again, because the facts do matter. Because if it was the illness or whatever it might have been driving the cognitive issues, which no one is debating at this point. No one's debating the fact that there were cognitive issues.
No.
It's when did they learn about it, who knew about it, and who was controlling that entire thing, who was running the country while he was president, ultimately, is a very valid question. And when the White House had a bulk order of ink refills for the auto pen, we should have known something was up. They were using the auto pen way too much, we know now. The American people deserve to know the truth.
And not only is nobody debating he had cognitive issues, no one right now in the last week, since the book has been promoted and excerpts have come out, everyone agrees the reason that he was out was because of his cognitive abilities during the debate, not because his poll numbers were down, as they were saying. Remember that? Some would say that. That's gone now. Everybody's in agreement that he was not capable of becoming president of the United States again, yet they were okay with him being president at that time.
Right.
Can't have it both ways.
You cannot.
Cannot. From what we know right now, biggest scandal in American presidential history. Maybe one of the biggest scandals. I guess, you could have a debate, FDR in the wheelchair, but nobody was saying that was affecting his cognitive abilities.
See, that's the difference. He still was able to make decisions as commander-in-chief. And cognitive issues, of course, impede that ability.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Ready for the summer cookout season? As its unofficial start, the Memorial Day weekend is coming up. Keep food safety in mind. USDA food safety expert Meredith Carruthers says start with the 2-hour rule.
The amount of time that perishable food can be safely out at room temperature or out at outside temperatures before bacteria may reach dangerous or non-safe levels that cannot be rectified or killed by cooking later on or something like that.
Yet a consideration several backyard grill masters may not realize as they prepare to cook.
When temperatures are above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, that time actually reduces to only 1 hour.
So if your cookout is away from home, at a park or campground for instance, a cooler with ice to keep perishable foods cold or a preheated grill to keep food hot will help keep away foodborne bacteria. More grilling food safety information is available through USDA's Meat and Poultry Hotline, 1-888-MP-HOTLINE. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. This didn't get a lot of news coverage yesterday, but I found this really interesting. We had talked about the Kash, Patel, and Dan Bongino interview that they did saying that the Epstein committed suicide. The other thing that they talked about was that they uncovered new information pertaining to the Russiagate hoax and said accountability is coming. Here's part of the audio yesterday from Fox News.
Investigator for the House Intelligence Committee, and I've been on both your shows in a prior life talking about it, and I'm telling you and the American public that we have now found material and information and people who wanted to hide it from the world since we got in these seats. And we, as the deputy said, we are trying to do it in a fashion where not only are we informing the American public of what happened, but we can have accountability for it. And that takes a little bit more time. And when you layer on the fact that we are rolling out our priorities on violent crime and defending the homeland, we're running a 3-part animal here, and we're going 100 miles an hour on each single one.
So important.
I want to add to that, too, because what the director's saying is right. You got to remember, we come in the morning, there's a portfolio of 100 level 10 items. If it's a level 9, which is a pretty big freaking deal, someone else fixed it. The only thing that gets to my desk or his is a level 10. That's the entire day. Look at his schedule any given day. I'll show you the palm card I have. It is filled from 7:30 to he leaves 7 at night, 6:30 at night. It's filled all day. We just can't focus on one thing. You want New York to go boom? D.C. to go boom? You want an OC organization to go hack into some cyber network and crack all of Fox News' holdings? We're dealing with all that stuff, too. Everything's a priority. Everything's a priority. This is one of many things we're doing. It's not an excuse. It's just reality.
And we'll have more analysis on that one, on the Russiagate hoax. Yeah. Because she brought on Devin Nunes. Remember Devin Nunes from the Republican House Intelligence Chairman, and the back and forth that he had with Adam Schiff, where he said the intelligence does not show that Trump colluded with the Russians. And that's where Adam Schiff lied to the American public and said, yes, it does. He lied. Adam Schiff lied about American intelligence and what it said about Donald Trump. And that helped get him elected as a senator from California, because that's what people want in California. Democrats want in California. But, we had said that way back then. Wow, he got caught in the biggest lie. He lied. He took American intelligence and he lied about it. Now, will they prosecute? When they say accountability, what does that mean? We'll get to more of that analysis coming up following the bottom of the hour with an interview that Devin Nunes did. I said Newsom. Thinking of the governor of California now.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Well, we had played part of that interview with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino from the FBI on a couple of things, both agreeing that Epstein committed suicide, but the other part of it was they said that they have found materials in their files from the previous FBI that shows more of what went on during the Russia collusion hoax that went on, that involved the FBI, by the way.
Yeah.
That involved members of the FBI. And he said the reason they wanted people to know about it, but we're not releasing anything because they want accountability, which means if you want accountability and you're an FBI chief or the assistant FBI chief, what you want is charges.
Yeah.
And they didn't get into much detail beyond that. And so they brought on Devin Nunes, former House intelligence chairperson for the Republicans. During that time, he was in the minority, I believe, at that point. And Adam Schiff was the Democrat. And when it came to Adam Schiff stating that he had seen the intelligence reports that Trump was colluding with the Russians, he couldn't say what it was, but he had seen it. And when both of them saw it, when finally Devin Nunes saw it, he goes, there is nothing. There's nothing in the intelligence at all, nothing that shows that Trump colluded with the Russians. He was right. Adam Schiff was lying for a significant period of time. Does that warrant charges in the future? Don't know, but here's part of the interview when he was asked by Maria Bartiromo what he thought of what they said.
I was fascinated. There's nobody better than Kash and Dan, or I should say Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino. Those two guys know more about the Russia hoax than anyone else that's out there. And I'm going to be fascinated to see what this new information is that they found buried somewhere within that Hoover building, because I do think that transparency is key. And, now that we have, Ed Martin, who was supposed to be the U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C., now the president has appointed him to go after this. So I think both Kash and Dan were pretty clear. They're going to follow the facts. They're going to provide transparency. And then ultimately it's up to the Department of Justice to hold these dirty cops responsible for what they've drugged this country through for the last almost decade now.
Well, you've called Jim Comey like a figurehead, but talked about others who are really driving this lie. Let me ask you this. Who do you believe was the mastermind behind the Russia collusion lie?
Well, there's a lot of masterminds, but I think in general, this was lit on fire by Obama, Team Obama and his team after Trump won in 2016. So they could have stopped it. They should have stopped it. Instead, they lit the fuse. They put out a BS intelligence report, if you recall, right before the president came in. They framed General Flynn. They framed the entire Trump administration. And then they appointed Mueller. So once Trump fired Comey, Mueller gets appointed. And then we lived through that Mueller witch hunt for years. And I think, me personally, I think if you're going to find criminality, it's going to be with Mueller and his witch hunters that were there for so many years. I think that's where you're going to find the corruption. So it wasn't just I said this many times, Maria, and I think it was lost on people. It wasn't just about all the corruption that they did to create and manufacture the Russia hoax. The Mueller investigation itself was a hoax and was illegal. When Mueller walked into that door, how many times did I say it? He said, "Where are the Russians?" "Oh, sir, there are none." Why didn't Mueller leave? Why did all those people work for years? Why did they hide the information from Congress for so many years? I think you're going to find many of those top-level lawyers and FBI agents, as Kash said, did not conduct themselves in a professional manner. And I think if interviewed again, you could maybe get to the bottom of it. But look, you have two guys that want to get to the bottom of it. I have every faith that they will.
I want to.
We had said that because the information was out there. That it came out a couple of years ago that when Mueller came in, they knew they had nothing. Right. At that point, they knew there was no Russia collusion, but they had to continue it anyway.
Right. Well, and that's it. You look at that, my gosh, it goes back to the very beginning, there were so many signs that this thing wasn't real. Even when you get into Fusion GPS, you get into the fact that one of the employees at Fusion GPS was married to a top-level FBI personnel member at that time and said, there's probably nothing here. That was, keep in mind, that was the fall of 2016. And by the months later, by the time you get a special prosecutor assigned to it, we knew from what we know now. We didn't know then, but we know now. They knew exactly what was going on, and they had to keep up this charade. If you think about it, if Susan Rice writing that email to herself literally on her way out the door, that to me was a tell that I'm going to CYA this thing. She wanted to make it part of the system so that it was discoverable at some point. Why? There are so many things in the Russian hoax, so many things that deserve, I've said if they did a play-by-play of this and made it a series, it would go on longer than The Simpsons and Law and Order combined in order to get it all out there. But think about the real level investigation into every step along the way of anybody doing something wrong, which, in my opinion, would include carrying this thing forward when you know there's nothing there. Well, my gosh. Getting warrants from the secret court, all of these things we knew. There were so many early on red flags. The investigation itself could take decades if you were to truly get to the bottom of it. I mean, you heard the deputy director there, Dan Bongino, saying, well, it's all day, every day, and, our plate is full with these level 10 items. And, of course, that would be right up there, I think, with any of this. Now you add to it the cover-up of the cognitive issues. While they're not related, it's the same side that's doing this. When we talk about these big level things, you and I, we often mention, people who will float conspiracy theories and everything else. You don't need to get into conspiracy theory territory anymore. We could all see it with our own eyes, whether it was cognitive issues with Biden as president or the entire Russian hoax thing, because you and I came back from our Christmas break, and it was the beginning of January of 2017. And we're like, wait a minute. Hold on. How did things escalate, to that point? And actually, during that break, I'd actually been filling in on mornings at our flagship WBAP and covering some of the back and forth of what was going on between Obama and his final days and then Putin, remember, Russia and all that. That was in fact, I was on the air the day that Michael Flynn called his counterpart in Russia, and they said, this was, there was a wrongdoing there, and of course there was no wrongdoing. But I mean, every single step of the way, you don't even have to get into conspiracy theory territory. It's a like mindset. Everybody knew what to do. Yes, they had meetings. Yes, they did conspire to get things done. But you don't have to convince people to get things done when everybody is of the same mindset that, in this case, it's all to get Trump or stop Trump.
I think where they're both similar, because you're talking about they're two different, but they are similar. The similarities are they were both scandals in an attempt to win a presidential election by putting forth a complete and total falsehood. And the first one was a Russia collusion, was Hillary Clinton spending the money, her campaign dollars, and sending it through, as we all know, Perkins Coie, and then all the way to the Iggy Danchenko, who is the one who, in a parent drunk fest, came up with the dossier. Just throw out salacious things, put it together, package it together, get it, through official channels to the FBI, to members of Congress, to pass it around, to create the image as if Trump had colluded with the Russians. It was completely false. Intelligence agencies knew it was going on because they had told, I believe, was it Obama and Biden in July of that year of 2016, that Hillary was going to attempt to set up Trump.
Well, there was that. And I mentioned earlier, the fact that it was Nellie Orr that worked for Fusion GPS. Her husband, Bruce Orr, was a high-ranking official at the FBI. And Bruce Orr had reportedly mentioned to people at the Justice Department, we don't know if we could fully trust this information that we're getting. Yeah. I don't know what the conversation, if at all, I'm sure there were conversations between Nellie Orr and Bruce Orr as husband and wife, and or even professionally, but there was that connection. The fact that he was very close to and married to somebody at Fusion GPS who was used, through this entire process to bring all this about. There were so many signs leading up to that, and then of course the January meeting, where they realized there was nothing there, but no, we're going to go forward with it anyway.
Yep, and then it got all the way to the Mueller.
Yep.
As we know, the Mueller report, the Mueller investigation, and we had found out that when Mueller took over day one, where are the Russians?
Right.
There aren't any.
Right.
And as we had always said, that he would have gone back. If he would have done his job, he would have gone back and might have indicted himself.
Well, yeah.
Well, because we always said that if you go in there from day one and you say, all right, so you're telling me that Trump colluded with the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best evidence that we have that Trump colluded with the Russians? What would have taken you back to? The dossier.
The dossier.
And if you followed the dossier back, all the way back, you would have found that it was funded by Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And you would have known at that point that it was completely false. But if you're an investigator and put on your investigative hat, and that's what you claim you are.
Right.
And so day one you walk in, what do you mean there's no Russians? Where we've been told there was, if the dossier is the evidence that we have, trace back where the dossier came from. If you trace back where the dossier came from, because that's what got you the secret warrant.
Right.
To spy on the Trump campaign, and all of it was bogus.
Right.
And it was all funded by Hillary Clinton. You would have tracked all the way back, if you were the Mueller report, all the way back right to Hillary Clinton.
Well,
and we had said that. Once they didn't do that, we'd said this when the report was coming out. If they don't go down that track
all the way back
to look at the dossier, then they were not doing their jobs.
And keep in mind, Obama's Department of Justice goes to the secret court in October of 2016 and says, mea culpa here. Remember when you told us to quit violating people's rights by doing this? Sorry, we didn't do that, but we'll do it from now on. Yeah. And, of course, he was in his last few months at that point, and we wondered, okay, does that go back all the way to when Mueller was FBI director? You would have to go back, and because that's when those court documents
and were they
showed.
Breaking the protocol at that time?
And were they breaking protocol, which puts Mueller right in the middle of it?
Yep. We have long memories here on Red Eye.
We don't forget.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, the Iran foreign minister vows nuclear enrichment will continue with or without a deal.
Yeah.
Well, if you have a deal, I don't believe nuclear enrichment will be included in that deal. So you're saying it will continue without a deal.
You're saying you'll violate it you're saying if you come to an agreement. Basically, you're saying if you come to an agreement with the U.S., it doesn't matter. The agreement doesn't matter. We're not going to abide by that because there's no agreement that would include nuclear enrichment. You can't. We can't have a world where Iran has that ability. And they're saying, yeah, we're going to do it anyway. Well, again, two major things: Iran and Russia right now on in terms of geopolitical things on the president's plate.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.